Hebrews, 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 okay. Hebrews. This is our Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sabbath class, 29th of October, 2022. What we're going to be dealing with is Joseph in the land of Egypt, land of Mesrine. We're going to ask, I'm asking everybody to check out our videos on Prophets of Awakening. There's a lot of information given, and the videos will connect dots for you and bring you into the truth of the Hebrew scriptures, which is Tanakh, so-called Old Testament. If you understand the information that is being presented on the channel, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to Prophets of Awakening channel and hit the notification button. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh, so-called book of the Old Testament, so-called book of remembrance, and Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was conveyed to Moses on Mount Sinai. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our Sabbath class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, Sabbath prayer, Psalms, some current events, some need to know information, and then we're going to do a little Q&A, and then we go into the Sabbath topic for the Sabbath class. So tie your shoes up, get you some popcorn, going in. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing and to bring about our prophesied deliverance from when we was cast out of our land some 2,500 years ago. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face, and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon and Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For we know that you possess the power to do just that. And we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments with testimony, with statutes with all our heart and soul, and to perform the words which of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us any longer, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be on you. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to read a psalm. Then we're going to go into our current events. Okay, I'm going to read Psalms 88. It's a cry for deliverance from death. It's from Heman the Azarite, one of David's chief musicians. O Lord, God of my salvation, I have cried day and night before thee. Let my prayer come before thee. Incline thine ear unto my cry, for my soul is full of troubles. My life draweth nigh unto the grave. I am counted with them that go down into the pit. I am as a man that have no strength. Free among the dead, like the slain that lie in the grave, whom thou remember no more. And they are cut off from thy hand. Thou hast laid me in the lowest pit, in darkness, in the deeps. Thy wrath lieth hard upon me, and thou hast afflicted me with all thy ways. Selah, thou hast put away mine acquaintance far from me. Thou hast made me an abomination unto them. I am shut up, I cannot come forth. Mine eye mourneth by reason of affliction. Lord, I have called daily upon thee. I have stretched out my hands unto thee. Wilt thou show wonders to the dead? Shall the dead arise and praise thee? Selah, shall thy loving kindness be declared in the grave, or thy faithfulness in destruction? Shall thy wonders be known in the dark, and thy righteousness in the land of forgetfulness? But unto thee have I cried, O Lord, and in the morning shall my prayer prevent thee. Lord, why castest thou off my soul? Why hidest thou thy face from me? I am afflicted and ready to die from any youth up, from my youth up, while I suffer thy terrors, I am distracted. Thy fierce wrath goeth over me. Thy terrors have cut me off. They came, they came round about me daily like water. They compass me about together. Lover and friend hast thou put it far from me, and my acquaintance into the darkness. Okay. So if you notice right here, if you do a comparison contrast with what David was saying in 2 Samuel chapter 22, once he had passed away, he was surrounded by these wicked spirits from these giants because we know that the giants spirit, that spirit didn't come from the creator because it's a mingled spirit. So when they say that those that go down to the pit, that's what they're talking about. These spirits from these giants don't ascend, they descend. And the spirits from Adam's children and from the Israelites, they ascend. So he's saying right here, this guy right here is saying the same thing David is saying that, you got me, I'm in darkness. Come deliver me, come. So, like I was saying before, I wrote a book on it, but it's a book about the roles and characteristics of the angels. And these angels got roles they do. And those seven angels, they the ones they dealing with uh, mankind and the spirits that rise when a person passed. They got a system in place where they get that soul and they deliver that soul back and take it. They guide it back to the heavens where it go. That's why he's saying that Moses was gathered unto his fathers, and and Jacob was gathered unto his fathers, because once they pass away, the spirit leave the body, then they there to guide that spirit back to the heavens away, back to where it goes. The book of Enoch tells you it's chambers. So, there's a whole nother level to a lot of these prayers and psalms that's going on that we don't even really know because, like I said, the information been taken away. Say, like I said, he says in verse 4, I am counted with them that go down into the pit. I am as the man that have no strength. So right there off the bat, you see that it's some people on earth that they ain't got no destiny. Their destiny ain't to go to heaven. He said they counted to go down into the pit. And it's because they thought that spirit is in them from the angels sleeping with women. It's a mingled spirit. It didn't come from heaven. It was born. It was born upon the earth. These angels slept with him. Let's look at Genesis chapter 6 right quick. Just an example of it. They alluded to it. Okay.
Hey, brother Leonard,
Yeah.
can I insert something in
Yeah. Go ahead.
in regards to what you're saying? I
Mhm.
I I came across a verse last night. Of course, I read it many times already, but I look at it different now,
Right.
especially after talking to you, right?
Okay.
And it is Isaiah 24, 21 to 23.
Let me get 24.
Yeah, chapter 24, 21 to 23.
Okay. I got it.
In that it says, in that day the Lord will punish the hosts of heaven above and the kings of the earth below. They will be gathered together like prisoners in a pit. They will be confined to a dungeon and punished after many days. The moon will be confounded, and the sun will be ashamed. For the Lord of hosts will reign on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, and before his elders with great glory. So I didn't really, for a while, I actually had the belief that this pit or whatever don't exist. and
Okay.
and the angels did not sleep with women. Okay.
Okay. All right.
I was on that at first, right? Then I got out of it, and now
Right.
I'm starting to rethink that, right?
Right.
But I'm wondering, right, in verse 21, saying that the Lord will punish the hosts of heaven. Well, why would he punish these hosts of heaven though?
That's
Unless they
that's
did unless they did something wrong.
that's 200. Yeah, that's 200. That's
Okay.
200 that came down in the book of Enoch.
Yeah,
So
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 they,
yeah, he bound them until
uh-huh,
to the end. And
right.
these ancient ones in 23 is our forefathers. That's Ezekiel 37.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to and even allude to it in in Daniel when he says, "And the saints of the Most High is going to take the kingdom." That's
Right,
that's alluding to Ezekiel 37, which is alluding to this right here, verse 23.
right.
Yeah,
So yeah, 23 says, saying that the Lord of hosts will reign on Mount Zion, right?
yeah,
And that's not Yahweh, right?
yeah. Yahweh in the heavens of heaven.
He's in heaven, right? His throne's in heaven, right?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. And that's also when you understand what we're talking about when he says that uh he reigned in heaven and the earth is my footstool. He's talking about Mount Zion. That's what the Lord of hosts said.
right, right, right,
Okay,
right.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people don't get that until once it start is broken down, then you start reading and the verses that you've been pretty much reading over, now they starting to come to life.
You're reading it with a whole different set of lenses.
Right, exactly. Right, you're right, bro. Okay. Yeah, so anybody else got any comments on that? Psalms 88? Yeah, okay. Shalom. 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 Okay, shalom. Yeah, so we're gonna go into our current events and then do it up. We got some need to know information. Okay.
'22 has been the deadliest year for Palestinians since 2006. Israeli forces are trying to crush a new group, Lion's Den. Palestinians blame the upcoming Israeli elections for the surge in the bloodshed. Now, in our next report, we take a closer look at what's going on in Palestine.
The UN has called this year the deadliest in the West Bank since 2006. Over 180 Palestinians have been killed this year. Mass funerals are a common sight in the occupied Palestinian territories. On Wednesday, 6 Palestinians were killed in Nablus during a raid by Israeli forces.
This Israeli escalation is crossing all the red lines with the Palestinians. They have killed 6 people in 12 hours in Nablus, and we urge the American administration to put enough pressure and serious pressure on this Israeli government to stop this escalation.
Palestinians think the escalation of violence is partly due to the upcoming elections. Israel is going to polls for the 5th time in 4 years. Violence ahead of elections is a common phenomenon for Palestinians.
What's being announced in the Israeli media outlets is only related to election campaigns for the next elections. We are in Jenin camp, ready for any Israeli aggression.
The Israeli policy is to confiscate lands and expel its residents and to put them in separated areas, whether there are elections or there aren't. But during the election campaign, there is an increase in Israeli confiscation, arrests, aggressions, because the candidates want to gain more votes, because the radicals control the atmosphere in Israel. The government wants to gain more radical votes.
The Palestinians and the Palestinian blood are the card used for past 15 years since it was used by former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during his election campaign by expressing to the Israeli right wing what he will build more settlements on the Palestinian land and how he will raid cities. It's all at the expense of the Palestinian blood. We are freedom fighters, but unfortunately, the whole world see us as terrorists. The Palestinian, who is now a fighter, aged 20, 22, 25-year-old, didn't see a successful political process. He only witnessed killing and raids.
Israel's Prime Minister Yair Lapid made a statement after the military action in Nablus.
After a night of operational activity, I want to say that our goal was and remains to strike hard and continuously at terrorists and those who dispatch them in Jenin and Nablus and wherever terrorism takes root. We will not relent for a moment. We will not permit the existence of terrorist organizations that harm Israeli civilians and army soldiers. The assassination of the head of the Lion's Den organization, Wadia al-Hu, along with additional terrorists, is the result of joint efforts by the security forces, the army, Israel Securities Authority, and the Israel National Counterterrorism Unit last night in Nablus. As part of
Okay, so like I said, 5-10 years ago, we had so many Negroes or so-called Hebrew Israelites was in the dark on a lot of the things that were going on over in the Middle East. But if you just sit back and examine that, you'll see that they hoodwinked us in 1948. They said that was a prophecy of Israel returning. But it tells you in the scriptures that when that day comes, it's going to be the lion going to lay down with the lamb. It's going to be peace. But it's been chaos ever since those people went over there. So it's no different than like I said with melanin. Melanin, with the reason our skin is dark is the melanin, and that melanin is the dark matter that the Creator put in us. That's when He said He breathed the breath of life into Adam. That's the melanin. Give us life. It's got a system all within itself that's lacking in most people. It's lacking in them because they don't have enough melanin in them. So anyway, just like they went in 1948, you're looking at everything that's happening, it ain't adding up. Same thing with skin. Why is it that some people can't deal with the sun? When the Most High give them, the sun is the number one source for people on the planet. But you got people that the sun is their enemy. But we walking around, we don't pay no attention to those type of things. But yeah, so hopefully now you are. But anyway, so with that being said, I'm gonna go to this other video.
Weeks out from the United States midterm elections, President Joe Biden has made a couple of media appearances that have the world talking. In one interview, Biden continues to propose himself as a plausible candidate to run for another term in 2 years' time.
I'm in good health. All of everything physically about me is still functioning well. So, and mentally too. So, I'm a great respecter for fate, of fate. And so, but right now, I feel completely capable of doing the job as well as anybody can do the job. And it's, we'll see.
We'll see indeed. I don't think there's a chance in hell he'll run again. The big question is whether he can see out this term. I spoke with the Hill columnist Kristen Tate, and asked her whether she thinks the White House staff must have conniptions every time the president fronts the media.
Yeah, every time the president opens his mouth, his entire team must just be so nervous. It's interesting. His polling tends to go up when he's not really out in front of people because he just always manages to put his foot in his mouth when he's in public talking to people. He seems to basically fall asleep during interviews and forget what he's saying. And it reminds the public that there's something wrong with this president. It might just be old age. It might be dementia. I don't know what it is, but something's not right.
Yeah, it's pretty tough when the leader of the free world does best when he's hiding. I suppose he got elected effectively by sitting in his basement. But let's have a look at some of this interview he gave to MSNBC the other day. And in this pit, he's addressing the issue of whether or not people should be worried about his age.
I think it's a legitimate thing to be concerned about anyone's age, including mine. I think that's totally legitimate. But I think the best way to make the judgment is to watch me. Am I slowing up? Am I don't have the same pace as her? And that old joke, everybody talks about the new 70s, 50s, and all that stuff.
That old joke about 70 being 50, I mean, what is this, Kristen? And are people worried about whether or not he's the man for the job anymore?
Yeah, people are definitely worried about it. Even my friends who are Democrats now, I talk to them and they say, I don't know if I want Joe Biden to run again in 2024 because the guy's not fully there. And, there are some 70, 80, 85-year-olds who are totally with it. Everybody ages at different paces, but Joe Biden really is not aging well. He should be sitting in a nursing home somewhere like in Florida, eating, tapioca, enjoying his life with his grandchildren. He should not be doing this job. He is not mentally fit for the job. But yes, people are very concerned about it. And I think we're going to start seeing some heavyweights in the Democratic Party after the midterms coming out and really aggressively trying to push him to the side ahead of 2024 because the powers that be in the Democratic Party do not want him to run. They want someone younger and more mentally fit.
Yeah, look, I think it's I think it's just insane that this is even a talking point, whether or not he runs again. He won't run again. He can't run again. Yeah. He just can't say that now because it makes him a lame duck even before the midterms next month. And this is not ageist. As you say, everybody ages differently. I interviewed our former Prime Minister, John Howard, on our program only a few weeks ago. He's into his 80s and as sharp and as insightful as anyone, which is wonderful to see. But Joe Biden is struggling. And next month, he turns 80. And in this interview, he makes a joke with the interviewer about the fact that he can't even say that number. Have a look.
I can't even say the age I'm going to be. I can't even get it out of my mouth. I can't. I mean, I swear to God, it's like, no, come on, that can't be true. And you think I'm joking? You know I'm not joking. I know you're not joking. It's just strange.
Yeah, Kristen, this must be a worry for the Democrats, given that the campaigning around the midterms is focusing so heavily on Trump and Biden. Are there concerns that will depress their vote?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of concerns. And, I want to laugh when I see these clips because it's sort of funny, but it's actually really concerning, not just for Democrats, but for Americans generally. This is the leader of the free world, as you said earlier, and he has the ability to destroy this country or make it great based on the decisions he's making. And if the president of the United States is not mentally fit, who's actually making the decisions in the Oval Office? We don't know the answer to that question. Who's actually running this country? It's really scary. So yeah, we're seeing voters on both sides of the aisle in this country really starting to get worried about this. But the question that we keep coming back to, the politicos in the United States, is who are the Democrats going to run? It's probably not going to be Joe Biden, but their bench is so shallow right now. I mean, they just have a bunch of duds. Kamala Harris, she didn't even make it to her home state of California in the primaries last time. Pete Buttigieg is totally unlikable and has no experience. Gavin Newsom has been a total failure in California, so it's just unclear who their next star is going to be. but
Okay. Any comments on that? Everybody good on that? Okay. Yeah, it ain't looking good. It's like it's not a coincidence either that we got this type of president now with everything that's going on with Russia and China pressing in on us. You know, like I said, it's all scripted. Okay. So I had played a video yesterday. I'm gonna kind of play a little bit more of it, then go into it. The reason how nobody really goes in on how we got to where we at. I'm gonna play that and then we'll.
Jesus Christ is fake. Jesus Christ is a stranger in Africa. These are the exact words of some strange bishops seen in a viral video denouncing Jesus, downplaying the Christian tenets, and the worst of it all is that they were burning Bibles. In fact, a ton of people gathered and succumbed to their claims of these men in bishopric attires. In addition, they dared any apostle, pastor, or reverend father to come out and heal the sick, restore power to a non-functional transformer, and even raise the dead if they think that Jesus really is powerful. According to this bishop, Jesus is the reason why Africa and Nigeria precisely is in darkness. It is no news that the end time is finally here. A lot of people are beginning to do things that are in contradiction with the Bible. And the worst of it all is that these people are aware that what they are doing is in contradiction with the Bible. But because there are spirit influences influencing these people to perform these kinds of acts in order to take people to hell. So please watch this video and let us know after the 7 seconds intro of ours. Please like and subscribe to the channel so that you can get updates when we publish new videos. Welcome to Kingdom G Sport.
In Africa, you will definitely pack your load and go. We are telling you today to pack your load and go. All those evil havoc you are becoming, the committee in our community, committee in Nigeria, committee in Africa. We tell you, Jesus Christ, pack your things and go. That you and all your followers, all your agents, that you people are fake. Those fake miracles that people are doing state manage, it is fake. We know it's fake. So if you know you can heal any sickness, Jesus Christ, we are putting this question to you.
I've been getting paid $1,000 a month, if not more.
If you can heal any sickness, if your reverend fathers can heal any sickness, if they can heal any person that is sick, if they can cure any sickness, let them come and meet us on the 1st of November in Irwa Specialist. I challenge all the reverend fathers, I challenge all the apostles, they should come so that they can heal any kidney patient. Look at it, it's money. So if you want to burn it, you tear it like this, it will burn. They tell you that you will not burn. That something will happen to you when you burn anything Bible. If not because the Muslim was very strong, the evil thing that the Christian.
Okay, so I showed you this at the beginning of the week, and this thing escalated all over the place. So what I want to do right here is I'm showing you prophecy. You know, it's prophecy. So I'm gonna read something right quick out of Isaiah, and you know you can let it ferment. You know, but you notice the guy said that they had a plunge when they brought Christianity. They plunged Africa into darkness, right? So I'm gonna read this right quick. And I want to comment on it. Says this chapter 60. It says this future glory of Zion, right? Which is Zion is Israel, another name for Israel, Israelite. So it says arise and shine. Just the future prophecy. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is risen upon thee, right? In verse 2, for behold, darkness shall cover the whole earth, and gross darkness that the people, but the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. So we see right here, if it wasn't for him in this prophecy right here, we'd be in utter darkness. Matter of fact, we'd have been annihilated. But I showed you how he always keep a remnant for Israelites. He won't allow these wicked people to totally annihilate us. So we see now he's arising over us, and all the lies and propaganda that he's done, it fell off. And so they to the point where they see it, they're burning the Bibles up. So this is my point. You got these doctrines out there all over the place now that that Israel was located in America, and America is the American Indian is part of the Israelites. Well, here go the prophecy. We're looking at it. We see where he says that light shall arise upon thee, over thee. That glory gonna be seen upon thee. Well, it's over there. It's in Africa. Matter of fact, the same region where they got Judah, Benjamin, Levi from, transatlantic slave trade. So, I mean, like I said before, it's nothing. You ain't got to do nothing. All you got to do is sit back, and the Lord of hosts is gonna do it all. It's gonna be uncovered and revealed. So, I mean, I don't see no Indians waking up, burning no Bibles. Now we see the prophecies fulfilling right there in our face. So I just want to show you that. So I'm gonna play this other. Anybody got comments on that? I just read one scripture, but it's all over the place as far as us rising with darkness. Let me read one more. I read this one all the time. Isaiah 44. Okay, let me read that. So this is right here. It started back, maybe like I say 20 some years ago. It really escalated about 10 years ago. It says, chapter 44, verse 1. Yet hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus said the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou Jezreel, whom I have chosen. I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, floods upon dry ground, and I will pour my spirit out upon thy seed, and my blessings upon thine offspring, and they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the water course. So here go the dagger right here, verse 5. One shall say, I am the Lord's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, surname himself by the name of Israel. So that really escalated about 10 years ago. It's all over, now it's all over the place. You got brothers waking up saying they're Israelites, and they renaming themselves by the name of Israel. So it started with that. But notice in verse 1, yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and conjunction Israel. We know Israel was divided into two kingdoms right after Solomon son Rehoboam. Rehoboam. Let me see. Rehoboam came on the scene. His kingdom was divided into two, southern kingdom and northern kingdom. So we see Judah, which is the head, started waking up over here first. Now we see The 10 tribes waking up. Where they at? They in Africa. And they throwing Bibles, burning them up. It's an escalator. So you think the powers that be ain't, they're scrambling. Okay? So anyway, so those two prophecies right there, it's point blank. You don't have to sit around and fumbling with it, trying to figure out where the Israelites at. He's going to pour his spirit out on them. Then you're going to understand who they are. Same, like I said, you communicating with somebody. You giving them some meat, and they ain't responding to it. There's something wrong. You ain't got to worry about it. Okay? Anyway, so I'm going to read the reasons why, this is a video pertaining to how we got to the point where we was in the
And so when we look at the actual development of the early church, we see this was primarily an African/Asian religion. The greatest center of early Christianity was an Afro-Asiatic city, which is Alexandria.
Yeah.
And this is where the great early theologians, the church, were centered. Men like Athanasius and Alexander and Tertullian and Origen, even Augustine himself.
So this what the drama is at right here. Where so many people get sideballed, they thinking that they're in a certain place, and then when the information comes, they feeling a certain type of way. But these Edomites, but you got so many Israelites trying to make them Israelites. These Edomites in Alexandria, Egypt, they didn't stole the land of Israel. Them Edomites, them church fathers is Edomites. You might know Israelites. Even Josephus, from Edomites. And so now they even if you go back and look at the Cleopatra, I don't know about nobody else, but I know me coming up in the history books, especially in the black schools, they hail Cleopatra as this beautiful black Nubian queen, but Cleopatra was an Edomite. She descended from Alexander's lineage. That's why Queen Elizabeth says that her lineage go all the way back to the kings of Israel, right, and the kings of Egypt, the pharaohs, because Edomites was in charge. They was in charge of Judah, the land of Israel and Judah, and Herod, starting with Herod, and they was in Egypt. 29th dynasty of Egypt was Macedonians. And there was Macedonians on the throne in Israel after 143 BC till 70 AD. It was ran out. So right here, they showing you right here that naming these people, but these Edomites, these ain't no Israelites. Israelites gone. They're on the west coast of Africa. Play a little more of it.
Considered the father of medieval theology. Almost all of them are African.
Welcome back to Advent Next, a theological podcast for curious faith discussions. This week's recommended reading for our podcast is a book by Thomas Oden entitled How Africa Shaped the Christian Mind, Rediscovering the African Seedbed of Western Christianity. Our guest today is Dr. Trevor Oreggio, chair of the Church History Department at Andrews University and a specialist on Reformation history. Today we are discussing the non-Western African history of Christianity, as well as the contributions of African intellectualism to our modern understanding of Christianity. We'll also be discussing the Western experience for African slaves who became Christians during the span of slavery in the U.S. It's an incredibly enriching topic that you don't want to miss. If you'd like to listen to some of our other podcasts, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts at Advent Next, or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at the handle at Advent Next. My co-host today is Michelle Odinma, the Bible was written from a Western perspective, and it was used solely as a tool of oppression. It's a fabricated account. And even though there's no question the Bible has been used as a tool of oppression, people have justified slavery through it. And I want to just kind of get a little bit of the non-Western history of Christianity. Is the Bible really a Western fabrication, or what is the true non-Western history of Christianity?
And I've heard this notion being bandied about for a while that Christianity is a Western religion. I've heard a lot of Muslims saying it's the white man's religion. As a way of oppressing us blacks. But in order for us to understand Christianity, we have to go back to its roots. And just think about the place from which Christianity emerged, Palestine. So we could look first at the geography. Geographically, Palestine is connected with Africa and with Asia. It sits right there as a kind of in the centerpiece between the two continents. In fact, some historians identified Palestine at that time as Northeast Africa. Christianity is embedded right there in the context of Africa. Now we can go back beyond Christianity and consider Abraham, who's considered the father of the Jews, who spent time in Africa. Joseph spent time in Africa, and the people of Israel spent 430 years in Africa. Now, when we come to the New Testament, we know that the first non-Jewish convert was an Ethiopian. He was an African.
Yeah.
The first non-Jewish convert to the early church was an African who then takes the religion back into Africa. And so when we look at the actual development of the early church, we see this was primarily an African/Asian religion. The greatest center of early Christianity was an Afro-Asiatic city, which is Alexandria.
Yeah.
Although it was named Alexandria, but it was in Egypt, but it was an African city.
Yeah.
And this is where the great early theologians, the church, were centered. And when you look at the names of the early church fathers, starting with men like Athanasius and Alexander and Tertullian and Origen, even Augustine himself, considered the father of medieval theology, almost all of them are African. So the first 300 years of Christianity had its roots, its foundation in the continent of Africa itself.
Wow. Well, so with that, since I guess a lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that before, taking your course in the seminary. How did African intellectualism and early development of Christianity within Africa kind of contribute to our Western understanding of Christianity today?
So that's a good question. I want to refer you to a book written by Thomas Oden called How Africa Shaped the Christian Mind, Rediscovering the African Seedbed for Western Christianity. And in that particular book, by the way, Oden is a white scholar. He lays out actually 7 areas where Africa is actually shaping Western Christianity. So what we need to understand is that the movement of Christianity is a southern movement to another movement. All of the intellectual platform of the religion is being established in Africa, and it's moving west and north. The birth of what we call the university system was already established in Africa, and eventually it moved towards Europe. So that's one thing. The second, the great African thinkers of the early church, as I said, I've identified a few of them, are all from Africa.
And I think we talked about this a little bit before, but we're looking at the foundations of Christianity.
Exactly.
The Trinity even was something that was really formulated in Africa. You have Athanasius, one of the most fiercest proponents of what we understand today as the Trinity.
Yeah, the divinity of Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, so if you wanna watch all that, it's called The Forgotten African History of Christianity. So notice how at the end of that, when she was talking about the Trinity, right? So what Trinity? Well, they had a Trinity in Africa: Osiris, Isis, and Horus. Horus was immaculately conceived, right? Horus was immaculately conceived. So that's what I mean. I have some serious commentation, information on that on Prophets of Awakening. On like I said, you got a playlist called Uncomfortable Conversations from a Non-Messianic Hebrew Israelite. It's like 12 videos, and a lot of that go into that. But the thing is, he's Horus. You see, Horus was they took the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and like he said, these Edomites that's in Egypt, in Alexandria, Egypt, and they cross-referencing the Tanakh with the Egyptian Book of the Dead. That's how they get that. That's how they get born of a virgin and all that. We don't see none of that in the Old Testament. It's all coming up between, like he was saying, Asiatic is tied to Buddhism, because when Alexander and them first came in contact with Africa, he stopped his conquest in India, which is where Buddhism is. So all these Greeks and these Edomites was Buddhists first. Then they ended up they built the library in Alexandria. Then from there, they got our records, because they didn't conquer us. They got our records. They conquered the Egyptians, and they got Buddhism. And they merged all that together. That's how you get Christianity. And so now it's the time. Like I said, when you're dealing with the Lord of Hosts, he got timelines on stuff. He got Moabs. So it's up. The lie and the trick is up. So that's why you see these Africans, so-called Africans, or the Israelites that's been trapped in Africa. They waking up according to prophecy, and they waking up and they burning the books because they found out they lies. So that's something that's major, but a lot of people not paying attention to it. Just like when we woke up, when you come on the internet just to see, after all the propaganda and lies been done to us as African Americans, and to wake up now all of a sudden and they going toward the scriptures, that's a miracle in itself. But they don't want to correlate it to the scriptures and the prophecy, but it's all prophecy. Yeah. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? No comments? Let me see what's saying right here. It says Alexandria, Egypt is the place where Hebrews were sold into slavery, Deuteronomy 28:68. Yeah. Some of them was in there. Some of them was sold into slavery in Egypt, and they were scattered all over the place. But some of them was sold into slavery. All this stuff went down. A lot of it went down when Antiochus came. Like I was reading in Daniel chapter 8, the Ram and the He-Goat. The Greeks is the one that scattered us, and at the end of the Greek kingdom, right before going into the fourth kingdom, that's when Israel was ran out of the land of Israel and was scattered. But the predominant part of the people fled into Africa. And like I said, some came down, some came across the top, then they eventually trickled down through the Sahara Desert, and they all came together in Negro land, which is around where the Niger River at, all the west coast of Africa. And the powers that be, the whole world knew where they was at. That's why when they needed slaves and it came down to the transatlantic slave trade, they knew where we were at. And they knew that we had been cast off by our God. And they knew there was millions of us. And they went there to get them. They went there to get us. But what really triggered it was when Mansa Musa came on the scene with all the gold. And they wanted to know where it came from. And so that's what brought them to Timbuktu and to that region. And when they come there, they found out how many of us it was, because of the prophecy that he had promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had been fulfilled. And we was like sands of the sea. There were so many of us. So they just started drooling at the mouth, And that's why the transatlantic slave trade was so horrendous, because it was so many of us, right? But we had to fulfill a prophecy that he's going to reduce that multitude because of our disobedience and our stiff-neckedness. He reduced that multitude down to where it is now. Okay. So nobody have any comments on that? When somebody want to interject? Okay. So I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. If anybody have anything they want to say, or they want some clarity on something, then we'll go into the lesson. I'm dealing with Joseph in the land of Egypt. I'm trying to paint the real picture. Okay, so I got a video and play on that on this Q&A. Let me see. Okay, yeah, we're just going to the lesson. I'll leave that out. Okay, yeah. So when in this, I want to do a little introduction before I go into it. When you go into and see all the things that happened in Egypt with Joseph and all that, you know, it's one picture painted, but it's not really the real picture because they're glossing over a lot of things they left out. For example, like I said, you see me dealing with the fact that it's giants on the earth. You know, so many of us been duped to the point that we don't believe that. You know, we don't believe that there were no giants on the earth, and we don't believe Genesis chapter 6 that these angels came down and slept with women on the earth. Because you know, you say in your rational mind, you're gonna say that where they at now, right? Where the fallen angels at now? Well, when you understand and you find your way to the Books of Million, you know, or go on eBay and get you a book of Enoch, you're gonna find that he bound them. He got these 7 angels that he had in the very beginning that's much superior than all the rest of the angels that he created, and he sent them down and bound those 200 angels. That's why you don't see them no more. And then he went in against the children of those angels, which was the giants, and he started eradicating. So these are beings that was on the planet that they have no whatsoever reference to the Most High. They hate it, and the reason being is they molecular makeup, first of all, because they are mutation. But not only that, he said when he sent the angels down to bind them, they saw it. They watched it. They had a problem with that their fathers got bound and you know, placed in the middle of the earth and placed in different parts of the earth, and he bound them until the time of the end. So they had a problem with that. So like I said, he removed the source of their height, and so they started getting smaller and smaller, and then they was being attacked all over the place, and eventually, you know, you don't see them no more, as they're not as tall, but you know, the DNA is still here. So anyway, the story that's in Genesis chapter 6, it tells you that these angels came down and slept with women, but they don't give you the geographical location. They took that out, picked that understanding out. Well, when you go to Genesis chapter 10 right quick, you know, then we go into the lesson, you go into Genesis chapter 10, right? Then you'll find out where they came down there. It ain't but one way. It ain't one way on the planet to get a giant, and that's when an angel come down and cohabitate with a human woman. That's how you get a giant. Ain't no other way to get one. So you go to Genesis chapter 10, starting at verse 6. This Ham's lineage, right? And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. These are sons, right? So when you look at that, you'll see from previous conversations we had, when you see the I am on the word, that pretty much denote giants or a race of giants. I'm gonna show you that in a minute. So verse 7 says, we see that Mizraim, within Ham's lineage, you got a giant, Mizraim, right? Which is the same as Egyptian. That word can be translated back and forth, the same word. Egyptians are giants. Mizraim, same people. So it says, and the sons of Cush, Sheba, Havilah, Zebah, Ramah, I can't say his name. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. Cush begot Nimrod. We know that Nimrod was a mighty man, was a giant, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, whereas he said, even as the Lord, the Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom is Babel, Iraq, Akkad, Canaan, and the land of Shinar. So these people, they wicked because of their origins. They're not just happen to be wicked. They're wicked because of how they was conceived. So verse 11 says, out of the land went forth Asher and built Nineveh and the city of Reba and Caleb and Rezin between Nineveh and Caleb, the same as the great city. Then and Mizraim begot Ludan. See, so from 13 to 20 is giants. So that tells me right there, this is the origins of the 200 angels. They came in at Bethel, at the portal at Bethel, where Joseph saw the ladder, where the angels coming up and down. That was a portal. That's where Joseph laid his head down there. So from there they came in at that portal and they went to Mount Hermon. And they made a pact on Mount Hermon. All this is in the book of Enoch. They made a pact on Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon is in the land of Israel also. So from Mount Hermon, they went to Egypt. And this is the evidence right here from chapter 10, verse 12 all the way to 20. Those are all giants. You go to Deuteronomy 28. Let's go there right quick. Go to Deuteronomy 2. Deuteronomy chapter 2, when the Israelites came out of captivity in Egypt on their way back, they came through the wilderness, right? And then in Deuteronomy chapter 2, we see they crossed all these giants. See, and chapter 9 and verse 9, chapter 2, Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 9. And the Lord said unto me, distress not the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give thee their land, right, for a possession, because I have given Ar unto the children of Lot for a possession. Then 10, the Eman, see that? These giants that dwelt there in times past, a people great, many, and tall, as the Anakim. So Anakim is the giants that came directly from when the angels went into the women. Then you got the other ones, the cutoff of them is you go back to Genesis chapter 10. And then you see the ITE, which is the 7 nations that was there when Abraham received the land. You got the Jebusites, the Hivites. These are cut off of the Anakim, which are the original ones that came from when the angels first went into the women. And they're getting smaller. But all from 13 to 20 is all giants. They all over the land of Canaan and all over the land of Egypt. So that's the scene that you got to have in your head when you start trying to deal with Joseph going into Egypt. It ain't that Playboy pretty image they gave you when Joseph going into Egypt. This is the image that was in Egypt. It's giants all over Egypt. Egypt is the land of giants. Okay, let me play this video. It's been right there in our face all the time, but we was hoodwinked. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, so this one of the besides the when they concoct the New Testament, this is another one of the biggest lies they told. So like I was saying before, it's right there on the walls. It's just somebody got to tip you off. Let me give you some images right quick. Okay, see behind me? So right there on the walls, they were showing you right here on the wall, right? Look at that. See that? These the blocks right here. That's everybody want to know how they got moved, how the pyramids got built. Yeah, it's a giant. It's showing you on the release on the wall. He told two of them right here. See, here go the wall. Here go the same brick right here. That's on the pyramid. It's telling you. So you say, what are you talking about? So that's the reason why they wouldn't submit to the Creator. They were so powerful. They were so strong. They was their strength. That's what kept them from submitting to the Creator. And here go one right here. Notice, like I said, they the ones with baptizing. You don't see nobody getting baptized in the Old Testament, but it was getting baptized in Egypt. See that? That's the water up here. They're baptizing. So they worship the Nile River. They the ones doing it. They're the ones want somebody got to be dipped in the water because they worship the Nile River. The Israelites ain't worshiping no Nile River. You don't need to be baptized. But they worship the Nile. That's why when the Lord of hosts came there, he turned it into water, turned it into blood to get their mind right. Because they was worshiping, the Pharaoh had to go take the Pharaoh down to the river, baptize him in the water, or the Nile River. The Nile River was holy. And that's why I was showing you how, and then over here we see these women right here. See how tall? It's a regular man. This creator. This is the height of a regular man. These the women. These women. That's how big. So this is what Esau married into. Esau married Canaanite women. And so he got some of the boys he had was mighty men like Zephno and Amalek when he told Saul to go kill all the Amalekites. And Saul saved Amalek because when he got there, he marveled at his height. He saw how tall he was. He marveled at him. That's why he ain't killing. So this is what was going on in Egypt. You don't know, you don't have that image. You ain't got that in your head, but this is what was going on in Egypt. It's the reality of it. There were giants all over the land of Egypt. Like I said, Nazarene is a giant. So, and it's only one way to get a giant. It's when an angel come down and sleep with a woman. Excuse me. Let me get this. Yeah, so that's the only way to get a giant. So, you know, so you have to come back and reconstruct your mind on what's really going on with the scriptures. There's something else totally, it's a whole other story going on with it. So anyway, so these giants all over the place. Okay. So let me with that, so that's the foundation that you have to have when you read the scriptures, you have to understand that's what's going on. So I'm gonna pick it up with I'm gonna read I showed you Genesis chapter 10. I'm in Genesis chapter 37. I'll do a little reading. So I'm in Genesis chapter 37, the story of Joseph. Okay. And it's a lot of the reason why these Israelites catching so much hell too, because they're dealing with these giants. And so, like I said, a high place. When the Bible mentions a high place, it's up in the mountains. That's where these angels coming. That's where these angels at. These fallen angels was up in these mountains, and then it was coming down out of these mountains into these people or into these cities and places and sleeping with women, and getting giants. So their sons, the kids, the children of them was going up, taking them up in the high places, worshiping their fathers. That's what a high place is. So it's an angel over Israel. That's why he told them when you get down, when you go to Egypt, don't go there worshiping their gods. I'm the strong one of Israel. Don't go worshiping their gods. So anyway, I'm in 37, and it's this the beginning of the story of Joseph, somewhat, right? Genesis 37 says, and Jacob dwelled in the land wherein his fathers was a stranger in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Okay. So yeah, Joseph had this dream. When you know the story, he had a dream. Then because of the dream, his brothers were jealous of him. So that's what Joseph's trouble started at. So it says, you pick it up in 39, chapter 39, Genesis 39. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar and the officials of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard of an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hand. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessings of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. So let's look at that, because like I said, we're waking up saying that we Hebrew Israelites, but we ain't thinking like Hebrews. So verse 5 says, it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in the house. From the time the Egyptian made him overseer because he knew that the Lord was with him, right? So he says, from the time he made him overseer, the Lord blessed the Egyptian house, right? For Joseph's sake. See that? For Joseph's sake. And the blessings of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. So they came and got us, brought us over here, right? Look what happened to America. So all that the Americans did, even though they wicked as hell, okay, even though they wicked as hell, He blessed them to the point where they are now. But what you have to understand is it all belongs to the Creator. It all belongs to our God. So you got people fumbling with what's the outcome gonna be. It all belongs to Him. Because we was here, He caused them to get the goods. For what? To eventually give it back to us. This is what happened right here with Joseph. So he says, verse 6, he left all that he had in Joseph's hands, and he knew not all he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused. And he said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotted not what is with me in the house, and he have committed all that he have to my hands. There is none greater in this house than I, neither have he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? And it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house therein. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hands and fled and got him and got him out. And it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was afraid and fled forth, that she called unto him unto the men of the house and spake unto them, saying, see, he hath brought in a Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. Right? So back in the day, when you sitting in the pews in the Baptist church or wherever church you was at, Catholic church, you was reading this. You ain't had nothing attached to, no meat. But guess what? We just saw what happened to Susanna during the time of Daniel. Same thing. It's just that it was reversed. It was men trying to sleep with Israelite woman. And then when she refused, they did the same thing she did. She called all the people in, and rather see them dead and hanging or lynched than to see her go on and live her life. So she's doing the same thing right there. Joseph refused it. So this is my point. You see a lot of things that you see Israelites doing now. That ain't part of our nature. We've been part of these people so long that we think that's part of our nature. Now the Susanna and Judith, they didn't want to deal with them people, men of other nations. They ain't have nothing to do with them. It's 3,000, 2,500 years of being over here. We thinking all this. You thinking we got options, but you don't have no options. Same way with Joseph. Look what Joseph said. She came in there. Potiphar is the Lord of the hosts of Egypt. So you can imagine what his wife looked like. So he says, she said, verse 8, but 7, it came to pass after these things that the master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph. So this ain't no Israelite. It's an Egyptian. And she said, lie with me. But he refused. See that? And he said unto his master's wife, behold, my master would have not what is with me in the house. He gave me overcharge everything. He have committed all that he have into my hands. There is none greater in this house than I. Neither have he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. Now here you go. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against the Lord, not against Potiphar, against the Lord, against the Lord of hosts, and against heaven? Okay? Because you thinking nobody ain't watching, but these Israelites and the understanding they had back then before we got hoodwinked, that he know they was watching. Okay? So everybody should know that story. So Joseph was put into prison and all that, right? So we're gonna keep going. And let me see where I'm at. Okay. 39. I was reading 39. Okay, yeah. I'll read some out of 40. So it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of the kings, the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And the Pharaoh was wroth with the two of his officers against the chief butler and against the chief baker. And he put them in the war in the house of the captain of the guard into the prison and placed a place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in the war, and they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to his interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked the Pharaoh officers that were with him in the ward of his prison, of his large house, saying, wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, we have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpretation of it. Okay. And he asked the Pharaoh officers that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house, saying, wherefore look ye so sad today? And they said unto him, we have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, and I pray you. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and he said to him, in my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her buds shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And the Pharaoh cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, pressed them into the Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into the Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, this is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days, yet wherein 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver the Pharaoh cup into his hand after the former manner when thou wast his butler. But think on me when it shall be, be well with thee, and show kindness, and I pray thee unto me, and make mention of me unto the Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. So, like I said, ain't that what happened to us when we stolen away, brought over here? Okay, 16. When the chief butler saw that his interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in the dream. I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head, and in the uttermost basket there was of all manner of baked meats for the Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days, yet wherein 3 days shall the Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. And it came to pass, see that? It came to pass. Notice he had the dream. The angel brought the dream to them. Joseph gave them interpretation. And here you go, 22. This don't happen in Daniel. And it came to pass in the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants, and he lifted up his head, and the chief butler and of the chief baker among the servants, and he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup to the Pharaoh's hand, but he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them, yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. So we see right here, like I said before, this is what I mean by the melanin. The melanin in the pineal gland. Joseph is a master interpreter of dreams. Not only that, he had dreams. So that ain't something that just happened. When he created Adam, all those characteristics was put in Adam. They tell you on the earth, all men are the same. All men ain't the same. They ain't the same. These Israelites ain't the same. So I'm gonna show you that in a minute. So all we see is that that the Pharaoh wife, they just showing you that the Pharaoh wife just flipped out on Joseph, right? Let's look at it. I'm in the book of Joshua. We're gonna see that it's way more to it than what they gave you in King James. So it says, let me get it. Okay. See if I can find it over here. Okay. Okay. Joshua 4. Okay. Okay, here we go. I'm in Joshua chapter 44 says, and the sons of Ishmael who had brought Joseph from the Midianites, who had brought him from his brethren, went to Egypt with Joseph, and they came upon the borders of Egypt. And when they came near unto Egypt, they met 4 men of the sons of Midian, the sons of Abraham, who had come forth from the land of Egypt on their journey. And the Ishmaelites said unto them, do you desire to purchase this slave from us? And they said, deliver him over to us. And they delivered Joseph over to them. And they beheld him, and he was, look at this, he was very comely, a comely youth. And they purchased him for 20 shekels. And the Israelites continued their journey to Egypt. And the Midianites also returned that day to Egypt. And the Midianites said to each other, behold, we have heard that Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, seeketh a good servant who shall stand before him and attend him, and to make him overseer over his house and all belonging to him. Now, therefore, come, let us sell him to him for what we may desire, if he be able to give us that which we shall require for him. And these Midians went and came to the house of Potiphar and said unto him, we have heard that thou seekest a good servant to attend thee. Behold, we have a servant that will please thee. If thou can give unto us that which we desire, we shall sell him unto thee. And Potiphar said, bring him before me, and I will see him. And if he please me, I will give unto you that which you require for him. And the Midian went and brought Joseph and placed him before Potiphar. And he saw him, and it pleased him exceedingly. And Potiphar said unto them, tell me what you require this youth. And they said, 400 pieces of silver we desire for him. And Potiphar said, I will give it to you if you bring me the record of his sale, of his sale to you, and we will will tell me his history, for perhaps he may be stolen. For this youth is neither a slave nor the son of a slave, but I observe in him an appearance of a goodly and handsome person. And the Midian went and brought unto him the Ishmaelites who had sold him to them, and they told him, saying, he is a slave, and we sold him to them. And Potiphar heard the words of the Ishmaelites, and is giving the silver unto the Midian, and the Midians took the silver and went on their journey, and the Ishmaelites also returned home. And Potiphar took Joseph, brought him to his house, that he might serve him. And Joseph found favor in the sight of Potiphar, and he placed confidence in him, and made him overseer of his house, and all that belonged to him he delivered over into his hand. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he became a prosperous man. And the Lord blessed the house of Potiphar for the sake of Joseph. And Potiphar left all that he had in the hands of Joseph. And Joseph was one that caused things to come in and out, and everything was regulated by his wish in the house of Potiphar. And Joseph was 18 years old, a youth with a beautiful eyes and of a comely appearance, and likened unto him was not in the whole land of Egypt. I'll read that again. Joseph was 18 years old, a young and a youth with a beautiful eyes and a comely appearance, and like unto him was not in the whole land of Egypt, or nobody like him. 15. And at that time, while he was in his master's house, going in and out of the house and attending his master, Ziklah, the master's wife, lifted up her eyes toward Joseph and looked at him, and behold, he was a youth, comely and well favored, and she coveted his beauty and his heart, and her soul was vexed upon Joseph. They don't tell you this in King James. And she enticed him day after day. Same thing happening now. And Ziklah persuaded Joseph daily, but Joseph did not lift up his eyes to behold his master's wife. And Ziklah said unto him, how goodly are thy appearance and form. See that? Formed Adam. How goodly is thy appearance and thy form. Truly, I have looked at all the slaves, and I have not seen so beautiful a slave as thou art. And Joseph said unto her, surely he who created me in my mother's womb created all mankind. And she said unto him, how beautiful are thine eyes, with which thou hast dazzled all the inhabitants of Egypt, men and women. And he said unto her, how beautiful they are, will we, or while we are alive, but shouldest thou behold them in the grave, surely thou wouldest move away from them. And she said unto him, how beautiful and pleasing are all thy words. Take now, I pray thee, the harp which is in thy house, and play with thy hands, and let us hear thy words. And he said unto her, how beautiful and pleasing are my words when I speak the praises of God and his glory. And she said unto him, how very beautiful is the hair of thy head. Behold, the golden comb which is in the house. Take it, I pray thee, and curl the hair of thy head. And he said unto her, how long wilt thou speak these words? Cease to utter these words to me, and rise and attend to the domestic affairs. Right? So see the way that Joseph looked. She lusted after the way Joseph looked. Same with David. Same with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Same with Daniel. Right? So what we're looking at today ain't nothing new. It's just that we don't have no knowledge. We're not able to do it. We're not able to do what Joseph did. So it says, and she said unto him, there is no one in my house, and there is nothing to attend to but to the words and thy wish. Yet notwithstanding all this, she could not bring Joseph unto her. Neither did he place his eyes upon her, but directed his eyes below to the ground. Does that bring back some memories? And Ziklah desired Joseph in her heart, that he should lie with her. And at the time that Joseph was sitting in the house doing his work, Zilkah came and sat before him, and she enticed him daily with her discord to lie with her on every or ever to look at her. But Joseph would not hearken to her. And she said unto him, if thou wilt not do according to my words, I will chastise thee the punishment of death, and put an iron yoke upon thee. And Joseph said unto her, surely God, who created man, loosed the feathers of the prisoners, and it is he who will deliver me from thy prison and from thy judgment. And when she could not prevail over him to persuade him, and her soul being still vexed upon him. Her desire threw her into the grievous sickness. And all the women of Egypt, here we go, all the women of Egypt came to visit her, and they said unto her, why art thou in this declining state? Though thou lackest nothing, surely thy husband is a great and esteemed prince in the sight of the king. Should thou lack anything of what thy heart desired? And Zikr answered and said them, saying, this day it shall be made known to you whence this disorder springs in which you see in me. And she commanded her maid servants to prepare food for all the women, and she made a banquet for them, and all the women ate in the house of Zikr. And she gave them knives to peel the citrons to eat them, and the oranges, I guess. And she commanded them that they should dress Joseph in costly garments, and that he should appear before them. And Joseph came before their eyes, and all the women looked on Joseph and could not take their eyes from off of him. And they all cut their hands with the knives that they had in their hands, and all the oranges that were in their hands were filled with blood. And they knew not what they had done, but they continued to look at the beauty of Joseph and did not turn their eyelids from him. And Zikr saw that they saw what they had done, and she said unto them, what is this work that ye have done? Behold, I gave you oranges to eat, and you have all cut your hands. And all the women saw their hands, and behold, they were full of blood, and their blood flowed down upon their garments. And they said unto her, this slave in your house hath overcome us, and we cannot turn our eyes from him on account of his beauty. And she said unto them, surely this happened to you in the moment that you looked at him, and you could not contain yourself from him. How then can I refrain when he is constantly in my house? And I see him day after day going in and out of my house. How then can I keep from declining or even from perishing on account of this? And they said unto her, the words are true, for who can see this beautiful form in the house and refrain from it? And is he not that slave and attendant in thy house? And why doest thou not tell him that which that which is in thine heart, and suffer thy soul to perish through this manner? So we see right here the other side of the story. And like I said before, all you have to do is look at the day. Same thing happened today. Well, we just don't know the story. We don't know so like I said, I went to the book of Adam and Eve, and I showed you that when these angelic beings came down and slept with women, these people are sexual. Just like with the serpent. Serpent slept with Eve and got Cain. And I read and showed you what they was doing. Cain's descendants was doing before the flood and after the flood. Japhet is a descendant from Cain. The Most High told Adam to get, he told Noah to get 2 of every kind of all flesh. So he had to get he had to get a man and a woman from Cain descendants, put them on the boat. So these people are sexual. You know what I'm saying? They're not like, they don't have the law. They didn't see the law from the Most High and all that. So they just come straight out at you. And if you don't have no understanding of who you are and all that, you get caught up in the same thing they caught up in. You know, so like I say, you gotta let that ferment. Let me read a scripture right quick that probably going over a lot of people's heads, didn't make no sense. But once you understand what's going on, you can add it up. So it says right here, I'm in 2 Samuel. Yeah, like I say, it ain't for everybody. But in 2 Samuel, it says, the Most High talking to David. He says, chapter 7, verse 8, therefore, so shalt thou say unto my servant David, thus says the Lord of hosts, I took thee from a sheepcote, from following sheep, to be ruler over my people Israel. And I was with thee wheresoever thou wentest. And I have cut off all thy enemies out of thy sight. And I have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people. See, this is the Most High Lord host people, Israel. And I will plant them, and they may dwell in a place of their own and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness. See that? Two different type of people. You got his people, Israel, and then he got neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them anymore as before time. So he says as before time. What is the before time? Let me give you that. So some children of wickedness that's on the earth. That's causing Israel to go astray. And he don't want them around him, right? So let's look at it. Quick. Okay, so here we go right here. It says, I read this a couple of days ago. I'm gonna read it again. It says, Cain had gone down to the land of dark soil. He had left from out of the garden, and this is the serpent's child. It ain't Adam's child, and his children had multiplied. And there was one of them whose name was Tubal, son of Lamech, the blind, who slew Cain. Satan came to Tubal in his childhood and made a variety of trumpets and horns, stringed instruments, cymbals, pastries, and lyrics, and harps and flutes. And Tubal played them all the time at every hour. And when he had played them, Satan came to them, so that from among them were heard beautiful and sweet sounds that seized the heart with delight. Then he gathered many crowds to play on them, and when they had played, he greatly pleased the children of Cain, who fanned them to the flames of sin among themselves, and they burned with fire, while Satan inflamed their hearts, and one with another. And lust, see that? Here you go. Lust increased among them. So same thing with Genesis 6. These angels came down. These children were, that's what you mean by bastards. These children were conceived in sin and lust. That's how Cain was conceived. So it says, and he brought into their hands all kinds of fruits and flowers, and they drank all together. Tubal did this to multiply their sins. He also acted with pride, and he taught the children of Cain to commit all manner of grossness, wickedness, which they did not know until, this is before the flood, until then, and he put them up to all kinds of deeds which they did not know before. Then, when Satan saw that they obeyed Tubal and listened to him and everything he told them, he rejoiced greatly and increased Tubal's understanding until he took iron and with it made weapons of war. Then they were drunk, and hatred and murder increased among them. These are children of wickedness, right? One man would use violence against another, and Satan would teach them evil in that one would take another man's children and defile them before his eyes. So they'll sleep with their pedophilia, sleep with the child in front of the man. 9, and when the man saw they were vanquished and saw that others were not beaten, those who were beaten came to Tubal and took refuge with him, and he made them part of his group. Then sin increased among them greatly until a man married his own sister or daughter or mother or other, or daughter of his father's sister, first cousin, so that there was no more distinction of relationships, and they could no longer discern what was sin and what was not, but always were wicked, and the earth was defiled with sin. So this sexual sin, they got the spirit on them that they're lustful. That's what she doing. She Egyptian. She sent it from those. I showed you that Mazarine. These Egyptians came from a unnatural relationship from an angel coming down and sleeping with a woman. That's what Egyptians are. And they got an oppressive spirit. Subjugate. They want to fight and kill people and subjugate people, oppress them. So the Creator says, my people, Israel, oftentimes went down into Egypt. Mizraim, an Egyptian. The Mizraim oppressed them, right? These people, these children from these giants. Ham got 4 children, but Mizraim people, they oppressed the Egyptians in the land of Egypt. Okay? Ain't that something? So, like I was saying before, if you want to read all that out of the book of Joshua, there's a lot more in there that's not being told in that, but I just wanted to shine a light on the fact that it gives you the proper picture and the settings that was going on at the time. It's not the little okie doke picture that they give you in the King James. It's the land of Canaan and the land of Egypt is awash with giants, and these giants got a problem with the Creator. They hate law. They hate the Most High's laws and statutes. They hate His children and everything. Got a problem with them. That's why they wouldn't let him go, even after he came with the 10 plagues, right? And then we see the same thing happening now. There's nothing new under the sun. These people refuse to let us go after they see all that they're doing, and after they see all these prophecies that's being unfolded right in front of their eyes. There's no reason for us to be doing what we're doing right now after all the hell we've been through. The Bible, the last place we should be dealing with, but we done latched on to the Tanakh, to the Old Testament that was given to our forefathers by the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So they know all that, and they still refuse to let us go. It showed to them in their face how inhumane they were, and all that they done is they want to hide it, and they want to continue on. But like I told you, you got prophecies, you got Moab that's unfolding and coming to an end. And the golden nugget is that I showed you how that the Chaldeans, the Babylonians brought us into captivity, but the Medes and Persians the one took us out of captivity. So everybody looking for the Americans to release us. It ain't the Americans that's going to release us. The Americans the one took us into captivity. Well, guess what? They got a strong man on the scene right now. 2 strong men. They got the Chinese and they got the Persians and they got the Russians on the scene. We don't need to look toward the Americans to release us. That's not how it happened in the past. I showed you where these Russians and Chinese hoarding up all the gold. They the ones got all the gold. When we left Egypt, what we left Egypt with? Gold. Spoil the Egyptians. Okay? Time to start thinking like a Hebrew. Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna see if anybody had any comments or questions. Yeah, let me see what's up with this. Yeah, I have that book too, Babylons. Yeah, you're right. It's a good book to have. It shine a light on like I was saying before with typology, how they use typology. Is an old Egyptian trick, how to place anything you want anywhere by just looking at the wording, and then you can just place those same words on another character, and you can place him in the same place where what was originally there. So same thing with they use geometry with the buildings and new numbers. And they constructing buildings, and they like with the steeple on top of a church house. All that stuff is all come out of Egypt, and it's all occultic and Luciferian, and they using that. You can see all that in all over the place, like the obelisk. It's all pointing toward. It's not. They didn't all put all that in Christianity And we coming along looking where they thinking it's good, but it ain't good. Yeah, so that's called Two Babylons, the name of the book, by Alex. He'll say if you want to check it out, get one. I think they're like $4 if you get it used, $4 or $5. Yeah, appreciate that information. Anybody else got anything? Anybody got a comments on anything what they heard? Zay? Okay. So I guess we'll close out. Let me get this right quick. Yeah, I'm gonna see everybody at 6 o'clock. Let me get this going right quick.
The new Grand Wagoneer.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna see everybody this evening at 6 o'clock for the evening Sabbath class.
Yep, see you at 6.
All right. Come on, man.
Oh, salam, brother. Salam.
All right.